as you can see here, just keeping my circle very light, really rough and sketchy. Just really building up this circle with lots and lots of curved lines. Oh, thank you. Once you've got your shape in place, the next steps we need to add in are what we call guidelines. To help us place in some of Oswald's features here. And so we're going to hop to the top of our circle, and just very lightly, we're going to sketch down this very big letter C. That's in a curve to the right-hand side of our shape here. This line is just showing us what direction Oswald's going to be facing. Then about halfway down our circle here along the sides, you want to lightly stretch across this very wide letter E here. And this line is going to help us in placing in Oswald's eyes. And this will give us our basic foundation for our Lucky Rabbit, but it looks nothing like it. Put this foundation in place though. The first feature we are going to add in for Oswald is going to be his nose here. And so to start his nose, we're going to go to this bottom right section of our circle, and just below our guideline, we're going to keep this neck shape nice and light. We're going to sketch in this very big oval, extending this out to the right-hand side of that circle here. Well, we want to keep the shape still very light, very sketchy here first, because Oswald's nose isn't perfectly round like a grape here. The top of his nose is actually flattening out just a bit. And so with that light oval, we're going to carve off the top of that curve, really just drawing across a flat line. Then from that flat line, we'll pick off the rest of our favorite lines here on the sides and the bottom, and we can darken the rest of his nose all the way around here. And since his nose is that nice jet black color, once you've darkened in the shape of the nose, you're more than welcome to go back in here and shape this in nice and soft on the inside too. Oswald here is a pretty happy rabbit most days, and so to figure out where his smile is going to start, we're going to go towards this bottom half of our circle, and for right between that center of our circle and the bottom here, you want to find that middle point right between those two, and we're going to give ourselves a little tick mark. And so right now it's going to look like we're giving Oswald this bat kind of face, but to really turn this into a smile here, we're going to go from that tick mark, and we're going to stretch up this letter U, really just over to the left-hand side of our circle. And I'm stretching this U shape just right above my guideline here on the left-hand side. And this letter U will give us just the start to Oswald's smile. To make his smile even cuter, from the top of our curve here, we want to give Oswald a little smile line. And it's just a little rainbow on the end. It just shows that his cheeks being pushed up and he smiles nice and big here. And you're more than welcome to keep his smile just like this. He knows like you're pretty content with life. But if you want to make your rabbit even happier here, we like to give him what we call an open mouth or laughing smile, just like you'd see him over at his gas station. And so if you want to make him even happier, you just want to go right below this letter U. And we're going to stretch down this very big letter U shape, really pulling this down to the bottom of that original circle here. Oswald here was made back in the 1920s during an era of animation, what we call rubber hose animation. And a lot of the characters made during that time, they had these very wide, exaggerated smiles. So really feel free to make this smile on Oswald really as big as you like here. Once you've darkened in the shape of his smile, on the inside of his mouth here, we are going to be seeing Oswald's tongue. And to add in that tongue on the inside, we're just going to go to the bottom of his mouth here. And on the inside, you want to sketch in these two rolling hills. You can also think of this as the top of a heart here as well. And if you're feeling a little fancy, you do want to add in some more contrast to your sketches, you're more than welcome to shade in the back of Oswald's mouth, just to make that tongue stand out a little bit more for him here too. Because Oswald here is smiling so nice and big though, we are going to be seeing his lower lip pushing out from the bottom of his face here. And instead of adding that lower lip next, we're going to go just below his smile, and we're going to follow that same curve of smile right below it. And I'm just stretching down this very wide letter U, following the curve of that circle, that smile, and we're going to bring this just below that original circle that we started with here. And once you got that lower lip in place, to really finish up the lower half of our rabbit here, we do want to give Oswald his cheeks next. And for his cheeks, we're going to start just right above his smile line. And from the top here, We're going to follow that same curve of the smile. We're just lightly stretching up some rainbow. And we'll blend this right into the side of that circle here. And once you've got that rainbow in place, we're going to turn this into a little candy cane by just picking out our favorite circle line here on the right hand side. And as we darken this in to give ourselves that candy cane shape, you want to go ahead and tuck this candy cane just right to the side of his lower lip there. Then when it comes to locking in the right hand side, from the right hand side of that lower lip, you just want to pick out your favorite circle line here and go ahead and darken this in, bring this to the bottom of his nose. And with his cheeks in place, the hardest part of our drawings are complete. And you all are actually about halfway done with your sketches of Oswald. And so I just want to check in with everyone. How's everyone doing so far? Good. Not too bad. Seeing a lot of focused artists out here. That's excellent. We're going to give everyone a chance to kind of catch up before we continue on. And I want to share a little bit more facts for you about Oswald. For those of you that aren't too familiar with who he is. The reason why we call Oswald here Mickey's older brother, though, is because Oswald here was actually created a year before Mickey Mouse. And at the time that Walt created Oswald, he was actually working for another company at the time. We don't want to put this company on blast, so we'll just call him Universal. At the time that he was working for Universal, Oswald here was growing so much in popularity that Walt actually asked for more money to produce more Oswald cartoons. But what he didn't know at the time, there was actually a gentleman at Universal named Charles Mintz, who was secretly taking a lot of Walt's animators behind his back and didn't want to get Walt any more money to produce more Oswald cartoons. And when he found this out, he vowed to that day that he would never work for another company again. Even though he did lose a lot of his animators during that time, there was one gentleman that stood by his side the entire time, a man named Up Iwerks. And together the two of them created Mickey Mouse. So even though we all said it was started with a mouse today, if it weren't for the loss of Oswald here, who knows? We might even have Mickey Mouse today. It looks like everyone's about caught up here. And so the next picture you want to add in for our rabbit are going to be his big expressive eyes. Since Mickey was basically inspired off of Oswald's character design here, their eyes are pretty similar. Really just these two tall ovals. And so we're going to hop just above our U-shaped guideline here. And for the eye on the left, I'm going to let you sketch in my first oval, bringing this up about halfway up to the top of that original circle. And I always like to keep this first eye nice and light to start with. Because Oswald is facing us in what we call a 3/4 turn, the eye on the right-hand side is going to be slightly smaller. And so on the right-hand side of that guideline, we're going to add in an even thinner oval for the eye on the right. You do have two options when it comes to Oswald's eyes here. If you want to go with how he looks at his gas station, he's in nice and solid. If you do want to get a little bit more classic, you can add in those pie eyes, just like you see here on this book. This style eye was added in back in the day for merchandise. But for you know, I'm going to keep him true to how he looks at his gas station. They just shading these in nice and solid on the inside here. Now, if Walt created Oswald for Universal, how are we even drawing this character today? We actually fast forward to 2006. Our CEO, Bob Iger, actually went over to Universal to discuss a trade to get Oswald back to the Walt Disney Company. And in that trade, though, we actually traded our ESPN newscaster, Al Michaels, for the rights to Oswald the Lucky Rabbit here. So it's pretty wild to think that we traded a real human being to the rights to a cartoon character. You would think that Al Michaels would be offended at the thought that he lost his job with this cartoon rabbit, but he was actually on his way out to retiring and was very flattered and actually hopes to be a trivia question one day. Once you've got your rabbit nice and awake, another feature that him and Mickey share is what we call their character mask. That's going to be that little heart-shaped little letter M that wraps around their face here. And so to start Oswald's mask, we're going to go to the top of our circle now. And I'm going to break this down in two parts. From the left-hand side, we're just going to lightly stretch up a little rainbow, trying to curve this over to his left cheek there. And then to really give myself that heart shape or that letter M to the mask, going from that guideline, this right-hand side of this mask is going to be slightly shorter. So I'm going to add in half of a little heart shape there. Then once you got this curve in place for his character mask, We can even lock in the side of his head and the top here as well. Now, another difference between Mickey and Oswald, besides the fact that Oswald is a rabbit here, is that Oswald here is actually married. Yes, Mickey and Minnie is their boyfriend and girlfriend. Mickey hasn't put a ring on it just yet. They're taking things nice and slow. Oswald here is married, and fun fact with his wife's name is Hortensia, and she's actually a cat. Why that happened, I have no idea. But you know what? Hashtag love is love. And together, the two of them actually have over 420 rabbit children, all named Oswald Jr. Once you got his head nice and dark, right now we've got Oswald the Lucky Mole sitting here on our paper. Not so much a rabbit just yet. And that one's been adding those very small rabbit ears that he has.
She's Oswald's girlfriend, Minnie Mouse's Minnie Mouse's big sister, Oswald's girlfriend. They both wear the same hat.
Yes, you go to the same class. Now to figure out where those ears are going to sit for him, we're going to go right to the middle of where our two guidelines cross. And I'm going to let you stretch out a dotted line just right below his left eye. And then for our second guideline, we're going to add in one more line right above the left eye here too. Now, when it comes to the shapes of his ears, you want to think of these as a couple of baseball bats, or if you're hungry, you can think of these as breadsticks as well. And so his ears are going to be wider at the tips here. And so from the tops of these guidelines, I'm going to build up the tips of the ears first, just slightly stretching up a little rainbow here at the top of each guideline. And the thing we want to keep in mind with his ears, again, they are wider at the tips. You get thinner as they get towards the tops of his head. And so on either side of that rainbow there, it's kind of like you stretch out a diagonal line, really making sure that his ears get really nice and thin towards the top here. Now go ahead and with this ear at the top, this one's going to be a lot smaller than the one on the bottom here. And so go ahead, adding the same two diagonal lines, bring this to that guideline here. Once you've shaped out his ears to the way that you like it here, his ears are going to be the last feature that you want to go back and lock in. Now the reason why Oswald here is called the Lucky Rabbit is because Oswald here actually has a special power to him. He can take off either one of his feet, and whatever he rubs it up against becomes lucky. Kind of on that play out, that superstition with rabbits in there. Once you've got his ears nice and dark though, that's also going to be the last step that you need for your sketches of your rabbit. And so this is the time in your drawings. You want to go back in, do some touch-up work, really darken in any lines that might have faded away in the drawing process, that you'd love to stand out nice and dark here. If you do want to add in some shading, since he has that nice jet black color, you want to take the side of your pencil, kind of use it as a crayon, and just softly shade his ears. Also don't want to forget to shade in that character mask there too. Once you've got all that in place, really the last mark any artist truly needs to leave on their work before it's complete are going to be your signatures. So make sure you do find a spot somewhere next to your drawing here. And go ahead and sign big and proud, because you have just learned how to draw your very own portrait of Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. Alright, now in the end, did you all have fun? Yes. That's the most important part about drawing, is really having fun here. Well, before we say goodbye, let's see all our amazing rabbits here tonight. We're going to have a quick little art show. On the count of three, let me all to reach your boards high and proud. And take a moment to look around. All true Oswald here. So 1, 2, 3, Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. So look out here. Amazing work here in my first row. That nice big happy rabbits all around. Excellent job in the middle row as well. Really big express life.